Besides watching professional wrestling, what's the one thing professional wrestling fans love to do? That's collecting really cool professional wrestling stuff. And for the coolest stuff to collect, you need to head on over to Slowpoke Toys and Collectibles at slowpoketoys.com. Slowpoke Toys and Collectibles has the coolest professional wrestling merchandise that you could get. For example, here's a really cool item. This kendo stick pin, this broken kendo stick pin, really cool item. There's this broken table pin as well, really cool. We got the chair, which is really cool. If you're a fan of independent wrestling, some really cool stickers here. Support your local independent wrestling. Here's another really cool sticker. I love indie wrestling, and you get a full sticker sheet as well with all these items on it. Really cool stuff. Slowpoke Toys and Collectibles. And the great thing is they're adding new items all the time. So you're going to want to follow them all across social media on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can follow them on all social media at Slowpoke Toys. So follow them on Twitter, follow them on Instagram, follow them on Facebook at Slowpoke Toys, because again, they are adding new items all the time, so you're not going to want to miss out. You're going to want to keep up to date on all the new cool items that they're adding. Again, you want to go over to Slowpoke Toys and Collectibles right now and check out their stuff. And again, new stuff being added all the time. Slowpoke Toys and Collectibles. They have the toys you didn't know you needed. Hey folks, welcome to Shooting Up North. I'm your host, Lewis Carlin. We're heard right here on the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. So I did the podcast. I just recorded Impact Wrestling News, Notes, and Opinions for September 19th, 2022. But I forgot to talk about one thing. So I'm doing a separate recording of it now, and I'm just going to add it to the beginning of the podcast I just recorded. So there's going to be a little fancy editing there. I'll do the best I can with the editing. But anyway, one thing I forgot to talk about when I was initially recording is several Impact Wrestling contracts are coming up soon, including Champions. This is Fightful Select. Came out a few hours ago. Impact Wrestling has a few contracts coming up, including some Champions. As mentioned earlier this year, Mia Yim signed with the company into October, but she's not the only one. Maria Canales confirmed that to Grapsity that she's currently signed with Impact Wrestling only through Bound for Glory. She also noted that she'd had some contact over the past year with WWE, AEW, and Women of Wrestling. We're not sure of the specific context of the conversation. Maria isn't the only deal coming up. She also noted to Grapsity that Matt Taven and Mike Bennett's current deals are up soon. Taven and Bennett are the current Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions and are set to defend against Aussie Open or the Motor City Machine Guns. Ironically enough, in that match, only Sabin of all the teams, only Sabin is under contract through this year. Alex Shelley not under contract with Impact Wrestling. The last tag team champions, Good Brothers, also dropped the titles when their deals were up. So first and foremost, Mia Yim has indicated that I don't know word for word, but she was very happy signing with Impact Wrestling. I think she said it gave her the passion to wrestling, and I something along those lines. She's very excited to be back. She very excited to come back to Impact Wrestling. So I'm holding her to a word. When her initial contract is up, I'm expecting a 2-3 year deal to be signed with Impact Wrestling because I know she's enjoying. Let me see if I can find the let me see if I can find exactly what she said here. So let's Mia Yim. I just want to get let me pull up some news here. Um, oh yeah, so Mia Yim says Impact was her first choice after exiting the WWE. let me see what it says. It says here, on return to Impact, I've always wanted, after getting released, Impact was the only thing on my mind, just because that's kind of where started to flourish on TV. My first experience on TV was Impact, and then, all my friends are there, Gal is there. I've got really close to Scott Demore. So if that was the first thing on her mind, she needs to sign a long-term deal. They can't let Mia Yim get away. So that's first and foremost. They're going to have to sign Mia Yim to a longer deal, like a 1, 2, or even a 3-year deal. And also Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, they should do whatever they need to do to sign those two to long-term contracts because they are so talented. Don't let those guys get away. These contracts are coming up soon. You put the belts on. You put the belts on Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. Sign them to a long-term contract. Let's stop with these short-term contracts. Impact Wrestling. Let's get some long-term contracts signed. Joe Hendry, I hope, was just the beginning. And lock up Matt Taven, lock up Mike Bennett, lock up Maria Kanellis, Gail Kim, sign her to a long-term deal. Don't let these talents get away. That's all I gotta say. Is don't let these talents get away. Impact Wrestling. Let's get some long-term contracts done, and let's start with these talents here, and then look to Shane Taylor and bring Shane Taylor in a long term. All right, so that's the start, and now we're going to go into the podcast that I recorded before I forgot about this topic. So let's go into that right now. Hey, folks, welcome to Shooting Up North. I'm your host, Lewis Carlin. We're right here on the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're watching for the first time, please consider hitting that subscribe button. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter at Shooting Up North, Instagram at Alliance PW Network, and feel free to join our Facebook group, the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. And if you are enjoying the content, if you like what you see, if you like the content, if you love the content, please consider leaving a super thanks comment or purchasing a super thanks comment in support of the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network YouTube channel. Very inexpensive way to support the podcast channel. The super thanks comment, if you want to leave one, and many of you have already, and I thank each and every one of you. You'll see on each podcast icons underneath the podcast. You'll see a thanks icon. Click on that, and you can leave a super thanks comment. They start like at $2 if you want to. But whether you leave one or not, I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm just saying, if you want to help support the podcast in a very inexpensive way, consider purchasing a super thanks comment. Okay, so let's get into Impact Wrestling news, notes, and opinions for September 19th, 2022. I was away for the weekend, so I didn't do much podcasting, but I'm glad to be back in the chair, glad to be back in front of my guys here, and glad to be back in front of you guys. So let's get into it. Impact Wrestling news, notes, and opinions. September 19th, 2022. As we know, Joe Hendry has signed a contract with Impact Wrestling, and Joe Hendry states that Impact Wrestling has the best TV product in the game right now, and I have to agree. So let's read what Joe Hendry had to say here. Joe Hendry, this is Fightful.com. It says Joe Hendry says Impact Wrestling has the best TV product in the business, and he's looking forward to contributing to it. That's so great to hear that somebody coming in and they're looking to contribute right away. Joe Hendry previously competed for Impact Wrestling in 2018. He was then briefly featured in Ring of Honor before the COVID-19 pandemic restricted international travel. He continued to compete, and the Scottish star recently signed with Impact Wrestling. And as we know, on the September 15th episode of Impact Wrestling, Hendry was featured in a vignette which teased his coming arrival. So in an interview with Greg Oliver of Slam Wrestling, Hendry discussed landing in Impact, and he shared his belief that the company's television product is unmatched in the wrestling world. And again, I agree. It's Impact Wrestling knocks it out of the park each and every time. Their events, their TV shows, just fantastic. So here's Joe Hendry Hendry. I absolutely believe that Impact Wrestling has the best TV product in the game right now. They have the team they have, their vignettes are just next level. Like the creativity, the quality of those vignettes, they look like movies. I'm very excited about that company. I know it sounds obvious, but it's a pro wrestling show. It feels like an authentic wrestling show where you can just watch, you can lose yourself for a few hours and just enjoy. Thank you, Joe Hendry. Thank you very much, Joe Hendry. It says Hendry has worked hard to get to this point. Hendry also had to say it's a rare thing for a wrestler to actually do it themselves. I actually paired up with my agent. Um, he's one of the best, if not the best agent in the game. I said to him, this is my game plan. This is what I want to do. This is what I'll have to do to get it done. And luckily for me, he was very patient. We got some great lawyers. We did it ourselves. So I'm really proud of what efforts that myself and Bill have put forward. And he's talking about his work visa expiring. I said after Ring of Honor went on hiatus, his work visa expired. He opted to take matters into his own hands and take care of the situation. So that's what he was referring to. Yeah, so it's great to hear somebody coming in and somebody believing that Impact Wrestling has the best product in professional wrestling today. I can't argue with that fact. I love Impact. Well, I don't need to tell you guys. You know how I feel about Impact Wrestling. But it's so refreshing to hear Joe Hendry coming in and saying that Impact Wrestling is the best TV product, and he's looking forward to contributing to Impact Wrestling. Unlike some other talents that who hold the Impact Wrestling tag team titles. And they said, "Oh, I'd love to go back to the WWE. I would love to go back to AEW." And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if you're Impact Wrestling now, promote that product. But I'm not going to get into that right now. But that's great stuff to hear. I'm looking forward to Joe Hendry coming in to Impact Wrestling. It's going to be great stuff. He's very, very talented. He was in Impact Wrestling before. I enjoyed his first run, and I look forward to his second run in Impact Wrestling. I'm not sure how long he signed for. Hopefully, it's long term. But again, I'm looking forward to the very talented Joe Hendry to come into Impact Wrestling and contribute right away. And I know he's going to make this great TV product even better. Steve Maclin says he's open to being paired with Deonna Purrazzo, his fiance, on TV, but the story has to make sense. And he spoke to Joey Carney of the Angle podcast. Now, I just want to do a quick plug for Joey Carney, Angle podcast. Angle podcast, a terrific podcast. Joey does a great job each and every time with the interviews. So check it out. Not Kurt Angle. It's not Kurt Angle's podcast. It's the Angle podcast with Joey Carney. Just want to pull this up here for a second. Open page in YouTube, of course. Open page in YouTube. Just going to pull this up here for a second. Sorry about that. Yeah. So just want to make so it's the Angle podcast. Just want to make sure I got the name right. I don't want it to get confused with the Kurt Angle podcast. So it's called the Angle podcast. Joey Carney does a terrific job. So Joey Carney, my plug to you, baby. Okay, so during the podcast, so it says Steve Maclin talks about potentially being paired with Deonna Purrazzo on Impact Wrestling. Deonna Purrazzo and Steve Maclin behind the scenes are engaged to be married. Said they're her fiance. On camera, they couldn't be more apart from one another's characters. Purrazzo is a smooth, technical virtuosa, and Maclin is the epitome of mayhem. However, despite their character differences, Steve Maclin remains open to the idea of potentially being paired with Deonna as long as the storyline makes sense. Of course, don't just put them together. The storyline needs to make sense. So I'm glad he's saying that. So Steve Maclin actually said to Joey Carney during the Angle podcast, if it works in the storyline, yes, we both have our different ways. We're very separate in identity of character. She's a virtuosa and I'm mayhem. If it works in the storyline, then yes, we've talked about it together, but only if it fits the story and where we're going. We like things to make sense and not just do it to do it, Maclin said on the Angle podcast. Steve Maclin also indicated that he would like to team with Wesley Blake in Impact Wrestling. said if the opportunity presents itself, he would like to team with his Forgotten Sons partner Wesley Blake in Impact Wrestling. They've teamed on the independent scene, but he said if the opportunity presents itself, again, that was from the Angle podcast. If the opportunity presents himself, he would love to team with Wesley Blake, and I hope it does. I hope the opportunity presents itself. I would love to see Maclin and Blake, the Forgotten Sons in Impact Wrestling. Maclin is just absolutely destroying it, knocking it out of the park, killing it all the time in Impact Wrestling. He's doing such a tremendous job, and I would love to see Blake come in and team with Maclin. But again, Maclin and Purrazzo teaming together. If the storyline makes sense, I'd be all for it, man. I would be all for it. So we could see Maclin teaming with Purrazzo in the future. Or we could see Maclin maybe teaming with Blake in the future as well. We'll see. I'm cool with both of it. I'm cool with both of it. Again, great job by Joey Carney. Check him out, the Angle podcast. Okay, so PW Insider puts this out. Here's the final card for Victory Road this Friday. Here's the complete lineup. And I'll be doing a preview and prediction show, hopefully by Wednesday or Thursday. So, of course, the main event, Barbed Wire Massacre, Moose versus Steve Maclin versus Sami Callihan, Impact Wrestling Champion Josh Alexander and Heath Miller. And Red Swan versus Eddie Edwards and Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions, the OGK, with Maria Kanellis. Impact Wrestling Knockouts Champion Jordan Grace versus Masha Stamovich's handpicked opponent. It's Max the Impaler with James Mitchell. Max the Impaler, an indie star who's just doing a terrific job on the indie scene, Max the Impaler. And speaking of the indie scene, if you're a fan of independent wrestling, you need to head on over to Slowpoke Toys and Collectibles right now at slowpoketoys.com. Slowpoketoys.com. If you love independent wrestling, you could get these great stickers here. Support your local independent wrestling. You get this sticker here. I love indie wrestling, and there's lots more cool stuff at Slowpoke Toys and Collectibles at slowpoketoys.com. And make sure you follow them on social media because they're adding new items all the time. Follow them all across social media: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Slowpoke Toys. Slowpoke Toys and Collectibles, the toys you didn't know you needed. Okay, so let's go back. So after that, we have the X Division champion Mike Bailey defending against Delirious, or former Ring of Honor star Delirious. I was reading somewhere that Delirious signed a contract with Impact Wrestling, but I read it a few days ago, and I can't find that article. So I'm not sure if he signed a contract or not. But nonetheless, Impact Wrestling X Division champion Mike Bailey will be defeating Delirious at Victory Road. So there's a early prediction right there. Giselle Shaw against Mickie James. The last rodeo matches continue. Will Giselle Shaw and Mickie James, her last rodeo, her road to the Impact Wrestling Knockouts title? No. And after that, we got Tasha Steelz versus Savannah Evans taking on Killer Kelly. That should be a fantastic match. I'm looking forward to that one. Then we have Triple Threat Revolver, Kenny King versus Laredo Kid versus Alex Zane versus Trey Miguel versus Black Taurus versus Yuya Omura. Love Yuya Omura versus Frankie Kazarian, AEW's Frankie Kazarian versus Mia Yim, the winner to challenge the X Division title at Bound for Glory. And those are the matches. I'm sure they'll have a pre-show match or two added. That's why I'm going to wait until like Wednesday and maybe Thursday to do preview and prediction. So as of right now, that's the complete lineup for Victory Road, and it's going to be another great show. Looking forward to Victory Road. And another match, a 5-way match has been added to this Thursday's Impact Wrestling. It's going to be Black Taurus taking on Laredo Kid, Alex Zane, Trey Miguel, and Mia Yim. So Black Taurus, Laredo Kid, Alex Zane, Trey Miguel, Mia Yim in a 5-way X Division match. It's going to be a preview of the Triple Threat Revolver. Looking forward to that. So the whole Impact Wrestling on Access, Impact Wrestling this Thursday. So here's the whole show. Here are the matches so far that have been announced. We have Impact Wrestling Digital Media Championship ladder match, Brian Myers versus Bhupinder Gujjar. I heard this match was a must-see match. I'm looking forward to this one. I can't wait to see it. Bhupinder Gujjar, or Gurjar, I'm sorry, um, has great potential, and I heard this is a must-see match. Looking forward to this ladder match. Number one contenders bout for the tag team titles: Motor City Machine Guns versus Aussie Open. I'm hoping Aussie Open wins this one because I want to see Aussie Open against Matt Taven and Mike Bennett at Victory Road. I think the winner of this gets a shot at Victory Road. So that yeah, that's oh no, I'm sorry, at Bound for Glory, at Bound for Glory. The winner of this, I believe, gets a shot at Bound for Glory. Jordan Grace versus Zicky Dice. Sorry, Zicky Dice. And then we have, as I mentioned, Black Taurus versus Alex Zane versus Laredo Kid versus Trey Miguel versus Mia Yim. And I'm sure there'll be one or two matches that'll be added as well. So great looking show for this Thursday. I'm looking forward to this Digital Media Championship ladder match. Again, I heard it was absolutely fantastic. Can't wait to see it. Poor Zicky Grace is going to get destroyed by Jordan Grace. I wouldn't be surprised if Maxie Impaler shows up to and then takes out Jordan Grace. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But Motor City Machine Guns against Aussie Open. That should be a great one as well. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great show this Thursday, as it normally is. Looking forward to it. Okay, so that's it for me. That's Impact Wrestling news, notes, and opinions for September 19th, 2022. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye. And stay safe, everyone. So long. Bye bye.